This is Mike Smella with NFI. Wanted to go over today a case study for a first time buyer and how we leverage the Worth account both as realtors and mortgage lending professionals very successfully to not only, well, absolutely help our clients, but also improve our own business and set us completely apart from any other competition out there. So I want to give you a little rundown on this. Again, this is actually a client that we're working with right now. They were referred over by one of the real estate professionals that I do work with. Gentleman is 27 years old. He's an accountant, looking at buying his first home. Currently rents for $650 a month. He's got some pretty hefty student loans, but that's not being more uncommon these days. He's got $77,000 in student loans, and his payments are $890 a month. He's got a real small auto lease, and then he's got a credit card with a small balance. Makes about brings home about $2,700 a month. Again, I know on the mortgage side, you work with gross monthly income. We want to also know what their net income is, because that really, when we're looking at helping them to get their debt paid off, we can't go off of gross. We need the net. He's contributing right now about $100 per pay period toward a 401k, which we'll talk about later. He's got about $4,800 in savings and about $450 in checking. Now, here are his concerns. When I first started talking with him and talking with the real estate agent, his biggest concern was he's saying, look, if I am going to be also, not only do I have to make my student loan payments, but then I've got my mortgage payment, and he's really concerned about the total payments, about paying interest and paying debt for the next 30 years. He looked into potentially consolidating his student loans, which would reduce his payments, but it would extend his payments from 10 years to 20 years. So in his mind, he's saying, look, I'm going to be paying 20 years on my student loans, 30 years on my mortgage. I'm never going to be able to get out of debt. And it's a real concern for him. Also, he realized that last year he paid over $10,000 toward his student loans and only paid $800 down in principal. So again, this he's an accounting major, or accountant. He's got some decent financial background, and I liked his thought process. Another concern he had was that, as he spends time in debt, is building money for retirement. He realized that he is probably not going to have a pension. He really is not, has no idea what's going on with Social Security. So that for him is very questionable. And he mentioned to us that, he said, look, the stock market's very volatile, unpredictable. So he just isn't sure about all these things, which is very typical for most people today, especially our younger folks. But he also doesn't want to throw money away for rent and not buy a house, but he doesn't want to be in debt forever. So as I started talking with him, as I started talking with the real estate professional, and then also starting to educate the mortgage lender, being in this and doing this for as long as I have, it's like, okay, let's bring the Worth account into the equation to see whether we can use this as a tool to solve his concerns, so that we can work together with the realtor and the mortgage lender to create a happy client and generate additional future referral business and everything else. So how I started with him is, I said, hey, what I want you to do, I want you to go to this site, worthaccount.com/NFI, and I want you to watch these 3 videos. Okay. Those 3 videos, basically the first one is a 5-minute overview on the Worth account. The second one is about 14 minutes that goes into the thought processes and the banking banking system leverages that we utilize within the software. And the third one is about an 8 to 9 minute demo of the actual software itself. Basically, what I told him is this: after those 3, if you watch those 3 videos, one of 2 things will happen. You'll either say, boy, sounds intriguing, I want more information, or you won't. Either way, that's okay. Fortunately, after he watched the 3 videos, called me back up, and he said, boy, this looks real interesting. Let's take a look, and I want to learn more. So here's what we're working with him on. So he grasped the concept that, you know what, the worth account is a tool to create, number one, lifetime financial empowerment. Number two, the ability to create and pay off all of your debt very, very rapidly without changing your lifestyle. And number three, give him the ability to very, very safely build wealth and accumulate wealth over his lifetime as well. So again, he wanted to learn more information. So the next step was, I said, okay, I need all of your information here. So what we did is we put the information into an analysis or a comparative analysis. And we looked and we said, okay, under the debt, let's look at a proposed mortgage. So we went in and he said, hey, I want to try and keep my payments around, $800 a month. Again, right now he's paying about $650 for his rent, and his student loans are about $890 a month. So currently, he's looking at about $1,540 just for his student loans and his rent payment. And again, we start as I continued to talk to him, we start to see some very, very cool things. So we said, look, let's look at, again, a proposed mortgage, probably an FHA mortgage. So let's say about $105,000, which in the area that he's looking at could get him a pretty nice home, actually, at a 4.25% interest rate with a total monthly payment, including escrows, of about $791.54. Okay. So we've got that as his proposed mortgage. Now, we also looked at his student loans. And again, one of his challenges was that he didn't want to extend out his student loans for another 10 years to take him to 20 years because he didn't want to pay all the interest. Well, as he started to realize when he walked through the videos on the Worth account, is that we're going to be able to provide him a vehicle that is going to get his debts paid off in a much, much, much more rapid period of time. So as we talked, I said, look, if you have the way to get your debts paid off much sooner, it really doesn't matter whether you have a 10-year, a 20-year, even a 30-year schedule. You're not going to be paying on them that long. So the important thing is to try and get it extended out as far as you can, and get your monthly payments as low as we can, so we can leverage more, greater cash flow, and let the math within the software work to get everything paid off. So he looked into refinancing, so he could get his student loans consolidated at 6.99% for 20 years, which would give him a monthly payment of $603. Okay, so now all of a sudden we're looking at a mortgage payment of about, let's just say $800, and a student loan payment of $600. So we've got $1,400 a month. So we're really reducing his cash flow versus where he's at right now by about $150 a month, which again is good. But his concern again was paying debt for the next 30 years. Okay, but we're going to, again, he said, let's continue on with this. Now, he also has, again, a very small credit card, and I'm going to get back to this a little bit later. But again, his credit card, he's got a small balance on it. But we're going to put that in just for one reason, and I'll get back to it in a bit. Okay, so we've got his mortgage, his student loans. We're good on that. Next thing is we went into his income. And again, his income right now is $1,350 net, and he gets paid paid every other week, so it's 26 pay periods. So we use that for his income. Next thing, we went into his expenses, and he figured with his expenses, let's go into this real quick here, that his expenses would be for everything, utilities, everything else, all of his gas money, all of that stuff, including his car lease, his auto lease, to be probably about $1,100 a month. About $1,000 a month. We said, look, let's be even more conservative, and let's just say $1,050 for his expenses, so that we figured at the end of the month, after everything is all said and done, He figured he'd probably have about $250 of discretionary income. I said, look, let's back it out because I want to make this as conservative as we can. So he felt comfortable with about $170 for discretionary income. Again, he figures that he'll have more than that, but he wants to keep things we always like to keep things very conservative as well. Again, on the banking side, he's got a primary checking account. He's got a balance of about $450 in. He's got about $4,800 in savings, of which the majority of that is probably going to go toward the purchase of the home. So one of the things I also talked to him about, excuse me, is I said, okay, if you've got $4,800 right now and you're going to be using the majority of it to buy the home, that's going to pretty much wipe out your savings. So let's go in and tell the program that we want to also build in, let's say, a $3,000 or well, he figures he's going to need about $4,000 to buy the house. Okay. So that would leave, we want to build an additional emergency fund of about $3,000. So I'm going to go in right now and say, hey, we want to create an emergency fund of $7,000 right now that the program will not use toward paying off debt. So again, we want him to make sure that he can purchase the home, that we can help him to rebuild additional savings, and to also then work at getting his debt paid off. Hope this is all making sense. Okay. So as we continued to talk about this with him, he was, it made sense to him, and he started to feel a little bit more empowered. So this basically, we looked at it and said, okay, his income, so it's about $2,700 a month take home on his income, his monthly expenses, his new debt payments are going to be about $1,481, and which would leave him again about $170 for discretionary income, and it would also then help him to build up his emergency fund, currently of $7,000. After he uses about $4,000 or so to buy the house, he would still have we would build this up to create a $3,000 emergency fund for him, which is always a good thing. So he looked at that and said, okay, yeah, these all sound very conservative. He said it's probably going to end up being, again, a little bit more on the discretionary income, but that's okay. We'd rather do that. So based off of this, he and I got together and said, okay, well, let's take a look at where you're at now and where you can be. Okay. So again, his concerns were being able to purchase the home and be able to save money and be able to not feel like he's going to be in debt for the rest of his life. So leveraging, a very good realtor, a very good mortgage lender, and the Worth account, we said, okay, let's take a look at the current situation that he would be in, which would be a mortgage of $105,000, his other debt of $77,900, and a credit card balance of about $33,50. So his total debts would be about $186,750. which is what he would owe the bank if he purchases his home and consolidates his student loans. But in addition to that, we know that he's going to be paying some additional interest. In his case, it would actually be about $152,000 in interest, which is 81% more than he owes, even with a 4.25% mortgage and student loans at 6.99%. That represents 4.3 years of his income going to pay interest alone. So these were the things that he was all kind of scared of. And he let me know. He said, Mike, this, yes, this would scare me. Over the life of his current debt schedule, he would be paying $423 a month in interest for the next basically 30 years. And for every dollar of principal that he pays down on his debt, it would cost him $3.62. So again, that would be his typical scenario, which is where the vast majority of people are right now when they are purchasing homes and they are living. Okay. We're bringing a whole new solution into every single home buyer's reality here, folks. So by utilizing the Worth account, he could basically save over $80,000 in interest, reducing the amount that he would be paying by over 52% in savings. He would be also mortgage and debt free, in 13.5 years instead of 30 years. Okay, and let's take a look at this. So not only is it the money that he would be saving, but he would be basically saving 16.5 years. He would be completely mortgage and student loan and debt free in 13.5 years versus 30 years. Now this is where he started to get excited. He's saying, you mean I don't have to pay all this stuff for 30 years, pay the student loans for 20 years? I can have everything paid off, my student loans and my mortgage, in 13.5 years with only $170 of discretionary income? Yes, that is correct. Now, let's go into this even more. He would be paying about $1,481 toward his debt payments. When his debt payments are paid off, when he has no mortgage, when he has no student loans in those 13 years, if he then takes those dollars and puts it into a savings account at a whopping 1% interest, at the same time he was scheduled to have all of his debts paid off, he could have almost $350,000 built up in a simple savings account versus just being back to square one. So all of a sudden now he started to realize, wow, not only can I get out of debt, but I can also very, very safely start accumulating wealth. And it started to get him real excited. So based off of his situation, the cost of the program to become, a client with worth would be $3,164. Okay. That's a one-time cost, and he becomes a client for life. So down the road, as the software gets improved, that can, the program upgrades happen automatically and at no cost. So, instead of having to buy Windows 8, 10, 12, 14, or Apple, the iPhone 6.1, 6.2, whatever, once you're a client for life. Again, the cost here of $3,164. Remember when I showed the credit card? All we did was say, look, let's just put it on the credit card and include that in as part of what you're going to be paying off. So even the cost of the program, which again pays for itself in about 6 months, we've already calculated that into his existing being. So from his side, he's like, oh, okay, fine. It's a done deal. Okay. And the cost of procrastination, it basically will cost him almost $500 for every month that he doesn't do this. So by this point, he was very excited of saying, okay, now I've got a solution. I've got the end result to see that, I can get into this house. I can go ahead and consolidate my student loans. I'm not going to be paying debt forever. I'm going to be completely mortgage and debt free. And he started liking that, which was great. And it was awesome to see him become excited about it. Then we looked and we said, okay, got a question for you. You said that you had paid over $10,000 or around $10,000 down on your student loans and only paid down like $800 in principal. He said, yeah. I said, and you told me that you were putting in what, about, was it $100 per paycheck or thereabouts towards his 401k? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, how much does your 401k have to return in order to make up the difference for how much you are spending in debt? And the light bulb went on and he went, oh my God, why am I doing that? I said, okay, you're starting to think better here. So I said, look, again, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money or without your money. Okay. I'm not licensed to do that. And I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. Okay. But you're a smart guy. You're an accountant. Does it make sense? He goes, absolutely not. I said, but what is it going to do for you? I said, I don't know. Let's take a look and see. So let's go back in. So we went back in and said, all right, so if we go to his income and he was, let's see, it was about let me go back and see. You don't remember what off the top of my head. He was contributing about $100 per period, so about $200 a month. So let's check here. And again, minus the potential tax benefits, let's just add another $100 per pay period of income. So instead of $1,350, it would be about $1,450. So that would be, and he said, yeah, that would be about right. So it would be about $1,450 to update his income. So what does that do? That then increases the discretionary income up to about $369. Okay. So, yeah, about he said about $100 per pay period. Nope. Let me go back here. Sorry. Let's go back in. Not 1,450. Let's go to 1,400. Sorry. All right. So that makes more sense now. So now discretionary income would be about 269. Let's go back to the summary on this. And let's go back in and take a look at what that does now to his payoff time. I'll kind of fast forward through this once it relaunches. And again, guys, these are all things that you as realtors, you as mortgage lenders, as when you work the worth account into your own situation and into your own business, you're going to be able to do this just for your clients as well. Oops, sorry about that. Let's take a look here. So on the savings time now, he would be saving even more in the interest. And now we would be cutting down his payoff time to 12.3 years, which he really, really said, okay, that makes a lot more sense to do that. Because not only would he save more time as far as being debt free even sooner, so he'd be debt free in a little over 12 years, 12.3 years. Now that would also, again, taking those dollars and just putting them into a savings account. Now he's close to $400,000. So you take that plus the, the 400,000 roughly that he would be accumulating, plus the interest that he's saving. All of a sudden, we're looking at about a $500,000 difference in his life by leveraging the math involved in the worth account, rather than just paying the bank schedule or trying to do something on his own. Okay. So then he sat there, he went, well, what if I get a raise? So all of a sudden he started to say, well, you know what? I'm probably going to be getting a raise. And you know what? I'm going to talk to one of my buddies to see if they can rent a room from me. So he started to get very, very excited about this. So I guess what I want to be able to show you and walk you through is that by leveraging this very valuable tool, and again, guys, it all starts with this. You go to the website, you have your clients watch these 3 videos. It's either going to make sense to them or it's not. If it doesn't, that's okay. No harm, no foul. If it does, it builds a very good building block for you as real estate and mortgage professionals to say, all right, not only can we show you how to purchase a home, not only can we show you how to achieve a very good mortgage for your purchase, but now we've got the solution to help you to become a mortgage and debt free in a fraction of the time, truly becoming a home owner rather than just a debtor for the next 30 years. We're going to be able to help you to very rapidly get your debt paid off and then very safely let you utilize those dollars that you were applying toward debt in a very, very safe environment to accumulate wealth and have no debt at that time. So guys, again, hopefully this will show you a real life scenario of what is going on. At this point, we're just waiting for him to get an offer accepted on a home. And He's excited. The real estate agent is excited. The mortgage lender is like, Mike, I don't know what the heck you're doing with this thing, but it sounds pretty cool. So I need to educate them a little bit more. But these are things that that you can do again as professionals. If you need to contact me, my best contact. Let me show you here, Hunters. Let me. My website, my number here, area code 248-705-4456, or you can email me at mike@nfihunters.com. Again, my name is Mike Smela. Or again, you can just go to my Worth website, which again has the same contact number on here, which is worthaccount.com/NFI. Watch the 3 videos, guys and gals. If it makes sense and you want to learn more about doing this and integrating this in as another tool in your business, you can become a referral agent and create additional dollars. On the mortgage side, for all my mortgage lending professionals out there, and I spent 17 years in the mortgage business and integrated this very profitably in. Every single client that you close a loan for is qualified to benefit from this program. Why? Number one, they've got debt. Number two, they have to have discretionary income in order to qualify for the loan. So this for realtors, this for mortgage lenders will create another way for you to, again, improve your core business, create additional income, help your clients out immensely, and even guard against the future interest rate increases, because now you'll be able to show these clients again how they can become mortgage and debt free. You can go back to your existing clients and do the same thing. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox for now. This is Mike Smela. Again, 248-705-4456. I hope you guys have a great day, and we will talk with you soon. Thanks.